So, as promised, the solution to the question 4, right? So here, the table below shows quantity demanded and quantity supplied. So this is what it shows. And then at a price. So that first block contains the price. The first question is determine the equilibrium price and quantity. So that's what we are looking for. So the equilibrium price and quantity essentially occurs where quantity demanded is equals to quantity supplied. So these should be equals. So let's look at where they are equal. Let's try to find by just skimming through here. As you can tell, they are equal at what price? At the 200 price mark, right? So they are equal at that price mark. Therefore, look at the question, equilibrium price. So clearly the equilibrium price is what? Is 200. And the equilibrium quantity is what? Is 4,000. So the quantity is 4,000. 4,000 units probably. Right? So we are good, and then we are done with that. Now let's go to 4.2. 4.2, suppose the current price in the market is 220, right? Is there a surplus or a shortage? Now let's read through that again, or let's just go, how many units of surplus or shortage will be there? So here at this price, at price 220, you can tell where the 220 is. It's just below the 200 that we just did. At price 220, you get QS, quality supplied. So that quality supplied at that amount is what? 4,100, if you can tell. And then the quantity demanded is what? Is then 3.9. Do you see that? It's 3.9. So that's where we are looking. So 3,900. Now, we want to check if there's a surplus or a shortage in the market. Remember, if I'm demanding 3.9 and then the supply is actually 4.1, it means that I'm demanding less. Therefore, there will be a surplus from a manufacturer's point of view, right? So 4,100 minus 3,900 should give us 200, right? So the surplus will be 200. That's the surplus that we are talking about, right? 200 kgs. Because if you look, okay, let's not express it in terms of kgs, but 200 nonetheless. So let's go to 4.3. Find the price where there is a shortage of 400 units. Now, you are finding the price where there's a shortage. A shortage essentially is where quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied, right? So if we get that together, then we will know. So at this price, let's say at the price of 180, at 180, the quantity demanded is 4,200 and the quantity supplied is what? Is 3,800. So let's look at it again. So the quantity, so at this price, at 180, here you find that the quantity demanded would be what? 4,200. And then minus what? Because we are looking for a, remember, the price where there is a shortage of 400 units. So this is the price. So, and then remembering that 4,200 minus 3,800. Remember, what are we looking at? Our demand is 4,200 and our supply is 3,800, and therefore, did I move just a little too much? Nope, I did not actually. Did not move too much. So here you get a value of 400 as your answer, right? Which is what? The shortage. It's the shortage because the supply is less than the demand. Therefore, this is what you need to write in your solution, right? So your answer is 180. You see, I've put this to show you that this is the final solution. So this is the answer here. But you need to at least show how you got to the solution. Now let's move on to the next question, which is 4.4, right? And I'll just roll down and do 4 points. Suppose the price of lettuce, a complement, increases. As a result, consumers buy 1,100 kg of tomatoes less at every price. Calculate the new equilibrium price and quantity. So, as you can tell, we are on question 4.4. So you need to adjust your quality demanded values, right? So at 160, because now we look at what we are given. So they say, suppose the price of lettuce, a complement, increases as a result of consumers buy 1,100 kgs of tomatoes less at every price range. Calculate the new equilibrium price. So to calculate this new equilibrium price, we must first adjust right? So what do we adjust? Adjust quality demand, right? So we need to start off by adjusting that. So at that price of 160, at the price of 160, let's go up and check, because I want you to be. So at price 160, do you see it? It's number 2. So at price 160, where am I? 4.4. So at price 160, the quantity demanded, QD, is equals to 4,600. Right? And if you minus the 1,100 kgs of tomatoes less, meaning as a result consumers buy 1,100 less, meaning less, they buy this less, you find that you are left with 3.5. No, so 4.6 minus 3.5, right? Remember, we are being practical about our calculations. So the equilibrium price now is equals to 160. The new equilibrium quantity will be 3,500. So let's look at the question. Calculate the equilibrium, what, price and quantity. So this 3,500, it's actually the quantity, because here we are talking units. They could be in kgs. So the equilibrium price for this question, so the answer for this question would be the equilibrium price. Should I just say, okay, equilibrium price is equals to 160, and the equilibrium quantity will be equals to 3,500. So that's your solution for 4.4, right? Then suppose that due to a good rainy season, farmers can now supply 400 kgs of tomatoes more at every price, right? Calculate the new equilibrium price and quantity. Again, we are doing what we did when we started the question, right? So we are looking for that equilibrium. Now we must adjust again. Remember, now we are talking about supply, whereas here we were talking about demand. So let's suppose that due to a rainy season, farmers can supply 400 more. So let's do this. Let's adjust what? Quantity supplied. The way we adjusted there, so we are adjusting. Let's adjust what? Quantity supplied. Let's look at 180. Remember, you can use any field, you can use any number, so don't stress about whether I'm using 160. Why did I use 160 here, 180 there? I'm just trying to make this as holistic as possible. So right now, at 180, the quantity supplied is what? It's 380, right? So let's go at 180. So the quantity supplied. Let me go quantity. I want to write it the same way I wrote it there. Quantity supplied is equals to what? 3,800. I'm gonna go back up just to verify that information. So 180, quantity supplied 3,800 sharp. So that's our main focus, right? So we are gonna say plus 400. Remember, the question states that there's a good rainy season, therefore farmers will be able to supply 400 more, right? So now that gives us what? 4,200. And if we then write it as a solution, remember we are just looking for the equilibrium price. So the equilibrium price is equals to 180, and the equilibrium quantity will be equals to 4,200. So we are done with that question. So do you see how they are? I've put them together to ensure that they do make sense to you. So let's go 4.6. Suppose the government decides to regulate this market and set the price at, okay, 4.6. I believe we are good with 4.1 to 4.5. I'll do the rest because I'm checking the time, 13 minutes, so I'm stopping.